Brady, what are you up to today? What are you doing?
Oh man, yeah, appreciate that. Pleasure to be here. Actually, just selling, dude, or communicating. I'm not really doing much, but taking some calls and having kind of a light day today. Very happy to be here, man.
You're having some conversations, finding and solving problems for people. So if you guys are brand new and you're like, who the heck is this Jeremy dude showing up on your screen? So real quick, then we're going to jump right in with some questions with Brady on how he's crushing it. So I'm the founder and chairman of Seventh Level, and we're a company that's designed, and we help sales professionals, probably like you, or coaches, or sales executives, business owners, and we help them transform the way themselves and their team sell by learning specific skilled questions that work with human behavior, that's important, rather than against it. We call these neuro-emotional persuasion questions. We teach the right tonality that really eliminates sales pressure from your conversations, put your prospects at ease, help them want to engage, and quite literally persuade themselves. Now, along the way, if you want to know more about NEPQ or about how we can possibly help you sell a lot more of your products or services for your industry, all you got to do in the comment section is type out #NEPQ, #NEPQ. Me or someone on our team can message you more details to see if we can help. All right, Brady. So I want to talk to you about this. So let's start at the beginning, because I know how much you make now. You make multiple six figures a year now. Congratulations. It's very expensive to live down in Houston, from what I'm hearing.
It's getting there.
You have to make a lot of money. I'm just giving you a hard time. A couple weeks ago, I interviewed somebody, I think it's San Francisco, and, he was only making like 80 grand a year before the training. Now he's making like 500 grand a year. And I'm like, dude, 80 grand a year, you're homeless in San Francisco. Like, you're going to live in a tent. That's all you can afford, So I'm glad to have you on here. I've been wanting to do this interview for quite a while now. So let's take you back, because I think a lot of people, they're like, man, Brady is like this cool dude. He's got his hat on backwards. He's got the red beard. So there must be a reason why everybody buys from him and not me. Like, he must have been born out of his mother's womb with all these sales skills. When you first started, it wasn't that case, right?
Not even close.
Yeah.
Like, I was the most untrained salesperson. I was a pest control tech, like, for God's sakes. I was treating houses, didn't know how to talk, didn't know how to communicate, nothing like that. So no, I did not come from sales. I wasn't born into sales. Sales is something I acquired.
Your parents didn't train you how to sell.
No.
Your teacher in grade school didn't mentor you Yoda mentored Luke Skywalker. So you started out in pest control, but as a tech, spraying for bugs, and then somehow you got into selling pest control.
Yeah. Started getting into sales. Started doing, like, they call it a bid treat, right? Like, you bid it and then you treat it. And I realized I was really good at that, and I thought I was really good at it. We'll just leave with that. Back then, I thought I was really good at that.
Yeah.
So I wound up working my way up the ladder to a sales manager, and I was managing about 20, 23, something like that, 23 employees, sales employees.
Yeah.
And that's honestly where, like, my sales story starts, is there.
So you start selling pest control. What was it like? Like, what was selling like when you first started for you? Like, how were you selling? Like, what type of techniques were you taught? What were you doing?
I wasn't doing anything, Jeremy. I didn't know there were questions you could ask. I didn't know that. Winging it is an understatement, right?
Yeah.
I knew they had a problem. I knew that I could help them. So I would just get as quickly as possible to the point of sale as I could. Okay. And the quicker I got there, it wasn't always the best.
So they had a problem that they told you about real quick, and you just jumped in with your solution and tried to hammer it home.
100%.
What happened most of the time when you did that?
I'd say less than 20% of the time, nothing. Nothing would happen. No sales. They'd probably laugh at me or whatever. Okay.
So you were getting the laydowns. You were getting the 10% or the 20% laydowns with what you're selling in pest control. And that's more of a low ticket sale, transactional sale, like one talk, one conversation, make the sale, kind of throw it over your back, right? Then you somehow got involved in NEPQ. Now, when I looked you up in our database, you were one of the first, I want to say 250 or 300 people that actually purchased our first version called NEPQ 1.0 3 years ago. How did you even find us? How did that happen?
Let me take you back further. Like how I found you guys was from the 21-day challenge.
Okay. That was like a beginning level product. Okay.
That was like way back when. And I actually ended up firing one of my employees. And so I got all his emails. And I guess he was following you because I started getting his emails that said Jeremy Miner. I'm like, who the hell is this guy? I'm looking for some sales training anyways.
Yeah.
It's between Grant Cardone and this guy. So let me see what's going on.
Sure.
That's kind of you came in my world that way.
So you fired one of your salespeople that wasn't performing. You read his emails, and in the emails, you see some, email from Jeremy Miner. You get involved in like our very, very basic courses. One of the first courses I shot with Brian Tracy. It was like an overview of how selling has changed. I gave you a few tips. Then you get into our first version. It's called the 8-Week Academy, which we now call like NEPQ 1.0. And that was like I feel bad for you. It's like I gave out like 20% of the information in that product, but that's okay. So you started going through NEPQ, the very first version. What started to change for you in the first few months once you started going through that?
Well, I was, I guess, dumbfounded that there's an actual strategy to sales.
Okay. What do you mean by that?
I didn't know there was a strategy to sales back then. Okay. I didn't know other than high pressure, stuffing your solution down the throat. You got a problem. Sure. I got a solution. All that. I didn't know there was like a way to communicate.
Okay.
So that was the biggest eye opener. And once I figured that out, other things started going into place with the actual formula of what you teach.
Well, you started learning the psychology behind the new model of selling, that there's like a process and a structure. Now, once you started implementing that structure, as far as like connecting questions to get them to want to engage, situation questions to find out their present situation, your problem awareness questions and so forth. What started to change for you as far as like how people started reacting to you?
Oh, they were super open, right? Normally before any of this, it would be a super closed conversation. There's no engagement. There's nothing like that.
Right.
Once I started implementing the connecting, the background, problem awareness, all that stuff, I started realizing that people are opening up to me deeper than I've ever seen before, but it's almost like I'm just having a beer with my friends. Like they are super transparent with me,
right? Just
because of the way I'm taking through the conversation.
Yeah. So because you're open with them and they feel like you're there to see if you can help them, not there to sell them, they become open to you, right? And when your prospects become open to you, well, typically good things happen. So from what I understand from some of the things that you posted, this was 3 years ago. From what I understand, your income pretty much doubled just by going through the first version of NEPQ. No advanced training above that, but just the very first fusion. Sales doubled, income doubled. What was that like?
Well, my pocketbook loved it, but I think it was just a solidification of knowing that there was a process.
Okay,
the money's great. I loved the money, but it was more of like, awesome. Like there's an actual way to have a conversation with somebody to help my pocketbook, but more importantly, help them.
Okay. Yeah. So you took the mindset of we talk a lot about this. You're a problem finder, a problem solver. You're not a product pusher. Now that's the mindset. That's the mindset behind the new model of selling, but you have to have tactical skills. You have to know what questions to ask. You have to know when to ask those at certain emotional points that they reveal to you. You have to know how to clarify and probe off their answers to pull out more emotion. That takes skill to learn that we teach you. So then you started to get into more of our advanced training. And I know around this time, because we were writing out your sales structures, it was me more, you training you more one-on-one, more of our advanced inner circle program that we did a version of it a couple years ago. And then you got this idea, I'm making all this money at pest control now. And then all of a sudden you're like, I'm going to get out of it and I'm going to get a different job. What the heck happened? Most people wouldn't do that.
I was as high as I could possibly get, right? At that pest control company. I was number one in the nation for the company I was at. And there's nowhere else I can go.
How many reps were in that company?
At that point, there was about 100.
So you were number one.
And
you were a manager too, because typically managers are not the top salesperson because they don't have as much time, right? But you were a manager and the top salesperson. That's very rare.
Yeah. So I was managing like 23 something employees, but I was also selling because I had to perform too.
Yeah.
I started selling more than I was managing because I fell in love with communication. Yeah. But that kind of led me to understanding that, it's time for me to take what I know and see what I can do.
Okay.
So that's when I started kind of looking elsewhere. And I did switch industries. Like I completely switched industries into coaching, into like a high
ticket sales.
Completely different industry.
Completely different industry. You're talking about low ticket pest control, which you're talking about like, it's $100 for the sale. And now you're selling products anywhere from the low end of like $5,000 all the way up to like $30,000 or $40,000. That is a completely different way to sell. Now, most people, what I see, even if they get decent at selling one thing, because they don't understand the sales process, they don't understand human behavior, they've never gone through NEPQ. When they switch industries, let's say if they go from pest control to insurance or insurance to high ticket or high ticket to cars or whatever, most of them I've noticed flop, completely flop. And it's like, how are they a top salesperson in that industry? And then they go to a different industry and they just flop, they suck, and they go back like with the tail beneath their legs, like crawling, begging for their job back. But that didn't happen to you at all. Why is that?
No, it's because I actually took my knowledge of the communication, really just that same formula that you taught me, Jeremy, and implemented it into a different industry. So like the exact same formula from starting the conversation to ending the conversation, that doesn't change. The only thing that changes is what I'm selling. Yeah. Right. Or what I'm helping someone do. Yeah. So that same process I just pushed into. I'll tell you though, one thing I took with me and something I had to learn is I had to stop selling.
Yeah.
Right. It's something that's weird to say in a sales role, but it's true. Stop selling and start listening.
Yeah.
And then the commitment stage is just simply a formality at that point.
Yeah, because they've already made the decision during the engagement stage from your questions, like your connecting situation problem where there's consequence questions. They've already made a decision psychologically that they want to change their situation from your questionability. It's pulled that out from them, right?
Correct.
Whereas before you were just selling them something and they were trying to get rid of you, right? Completely different. Now it's almost like you're trying to get rid of them in that sense. Completely different game shifter. So you got into high ticket sales. I know from what I understand, within like 3-4 months of completely switching industries, you were like making double what you were in pest control, which you were the number one rep, and you were crushing it. And now you're just completely owning it. So what was that biggest change? Like, how did you go from where you're at that first 3 or 4 months in high ticket and really start doubling and tripling I know your conversion rates just went through the roof. I mean, we're talking like 80% which is almost, people are like, how's that even possible?
Yeah. So the biggest change for me in the online world, I guess, is not changing anything from what I knew.
Yeah.
That's weird to say that, but the biggest change was just doing the same thing I've always done and not changing anything when it comes to what you taught me. Yeah. The offer doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. As long as you understand how to use the conversation appropriately.
Yeah.
Just help them out.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. And so I'm doing well in the online coaching world because of that.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
I know you're doing really well, man. You're like, don't bring up my numbers. Like, you can't say how much I'm making. I'm making too much. I don't want people to know. But needless to say, it's high 6 figures. So I'm not talking about like 110, 150,000 a year. We're talking high 6 figures. Well done. So the question I always ask students is, after they go through the training, right now we have more advanced training that you went through a couple of years ago, our Inner Circle program. But I always know if I've done my job right, if I am in the spouse's fan club for helping their spouse make a lot more money. Am I in the McCarty household fan club for helping you? Yes or no?
Dude, I mean, the answer is obvious. It's 100%. Because without what I learned 3 years ago, I'd still be in the pest control industry making below 6 figures, or maybe right at 6 figures.
Yeah.
So yes, you are in the family name.
Okay. As long as I the husband or the wife or whoever it is, as long as I am in the fan club of that student, the family, I know we have done our job right here. So I'm excited for you, man. You've got some big things going on for you. You're still, hey, the good thing about you is that you're still learning.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's something else you taught me, and this is for everybody, is training is not something you did. It's something you do.
Yeah.
Like, I still go through it to this day. Even though where I'm at where I'm at, I still go through it just to learn something new every time.
Yeah. Yeah, because if you're not learning your going backwards, right? Your skills just regress 100%. I want to ask you this question. What's a good question? Because we're coming up on the holidays. What's a good question that you ask your prospects? Because I know you sell for a company called Clients and Community now, right?
Yeah. We help coaches and course creators through Facebook groups and monetize their biz. Yeah.
So you help coaches, you help course creators build Facebook groups, monetize their Facebook groups. You help a lot of people for sure. Our company might even be doing business with you here in the next couple of weeks or couple of months as well. We're looking at your stuff. We love it. Love it for sure. You guys appreciate that. Exploding up there. But I know a lot of it's just your guys is being able to help people find and solve their problems, and they don't feel like you're selling them something. Like what you're offering them is a way to change their financial future forever.
Right.
And people want that. And it's by learning how to ask the right questions at the right time in that conversation that help them realize that if they don't change their situation and purchase your company's training to learn those skills to do that, that nothing will ever change for them, that they'll stay in the status quo and they never fulfill their dreams of helping other people learn what their skill sets are. So you offer a big service, but what's one question that you ask your prospects to really help them build urgency to change their situation now, purchase, rather than just staying in the status quo and nothing ever changes?
There's actually two on that.
Oh, two. All right. I want to hear that.
There's two. One is just understanding how to bring out emotions in the current situation people are in, learning how to hear those emotional statements and then probe on that just a little bit so they can actually feel the pain out loud and start hearing how much of an impact it's having on them.
Give us an example. I'd love to hear one.
Someone says, like, I hear sometimes, actually often, it's just really stressing me out, right? Or, I'm kind of stuck.
Yeah.
That statement is an emotional statement that I'm trained to listen for because of what you taught. And I build on that. Like, when you say stressing you out, like, what do you mean? Like, how so?
Yeah. You're probing. It's an NEPQ probe. Because when they say stressed or concerned or frustrated or annoyed, that is an emotional word. So that is what they're feeling. Most salespeople don't pick up on that. They just go to the next surface level question, right? What you did is you probed deeper. Whoa. When you say stress, what do you mean by stress, right? And then that pulls out that emotion, and then you can even probe off of that. That's a perfect question. Give us that other one.
The other one is simply a why now question.
Okay.
Someone gives you a statement, they want to change, they want to do something. We don't like selling anything. We want the customer to sell themselves, right? The self-persuasion. So
sure.
I want them to understand why now is important. So I'll just ask them, well, why now? I mean, why do something now in December and not just wait a couple of years? Why is now so important for you? Just so I understand.
And how do they react to that? Because most salespeople would be like, Brady, don't say that, because then they're going to be like, oh no, I'm just going to wait a couple of years. But what actually happens?
You would be surprised. If you follow everything else, they're super open to you already. But at that point, they're going to open up to you and truly share with you the logical and emotional reasons on why now is so important.
Yeah. They share the logical reasons. Well, I need to do this, and I need to make more money, and I need to do that. Now, as you know, people don't make buying decisions on logic. They make it on emotion. So when you ask that question and they give you a logical reason, you have to then do what?
You got to probe.
You've got to
ask clarifying questions.
You've got to ask clarifying questions that bring out their emotional side. So I want to make sure you guys just paid attention, because Brady gave you a huge golden nugget there that's catapulted his income from 8-10 grand a month to, I'm not even going to say, high six figures, a lot of money. But it's these little tweaks, okay? So when they say, oh, well, it's important for me now because of X and Y and Z, I need to pay off debt, I need to buy a new car, I need to get a new house. That's just surface level stuff, okay? Okay, so here's how you do that. Well, it's important for me, Brady, because I need to pay off the debt that we've got from IRS, and we've got this other, my mom's sickness is really bad. Okay, so you being able to have your business, like, make that type of money to do that, What would that do for you? What would it do for you personally? Now that is where the emotion comes out. Because, oh my gosh, it would relieve so much stress. Now, when they say that, you can also do what?
What do you mean by stress? Like, how long has that been going on?
Yeah, the probe, right? So it's continually probed. It's not over probing, but you know what I mean. Oh, hold on. What do you mean by stress? Oh, it's stressful because of this. Okay, and how long has that been going on? Oh, for 5 years. So that stress, has that had an impact on you? See, now that's Brady. You're revealing some good inner secrets there.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff.
Okay. Brady, hey, love it on here. I wanted to keep this to about 25 minutes or less. And I just wanted to tell you, like, congratulations. Like, you've done really, really well. You're crushing it. You're making multiple six figures now after going through NEPQ, and you've been through the advanced training. You're just crushing it. The company that you work for was even posting on, I guess they're in the Facebook group, how wonderful you are now.
Yeah, man, again, for you and everybody listening, I could not be here without what you taught. So gratitude. Thank you for that.
What's your advice for everybody listening today?
My direct advice is figure out how to work with Jeremy.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, figure out how to work with Jeremy. My indirect advice would be to detach yourself from the sale. Like, don't get excited. Like, this, how I'm talking now is not how I used to talk on sales calls. Like, this is how I talk on sales calls. This is my presence.
Yeah.
There's neutral, finding out what's going on, listening, all that kind of stuff.
It's a relaxed, skilled conversation, not a relaxed conversation. We're just talking about the weather of the game. It's a very skilled, like you said, Brady, it's a very skilled conversation.
Totally.
Ashina, you asked the why now question. Is that early on in the call or towards the ending? It just depends, Ashina. That's called an NEPQ probing question. You're typically not going to ask that in the first 1 minute or 30 seconds because you're finding out more about their situation, Ashina. It's going to be towards more of the middle of the conversation. It just depends. When they bring out certain things that they want to change, you can probe on that, but usually that's not like in the first 30 seconds to a minute. They're usually not ready for that yet. Brady, thanks for being on. Congratulations to your success. I look forward to, maybe I'll have you out on here more. I think, they next year they want me to start interviewing like 4 to 5 students every week. I'm like, dude, I'm not going to have any time anymore. We were just doing 1 or 2 before. Now they want me to start interviewing 4 or 5. I don't know, but I want you to be back on again, but I'm really proud of you. You're one of my first like 250 students that ever started here. So congratulations and keep rolling.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. Really, really grateful.
All right, man. Talk to you soon.
We'll see ya.
Hey guys, if you enjoyed these, here's another you can watch right over here. Join our free Sales Revolution group. Click the link below, join us, and we're going to help you. Thanks for watching. We'll see you real soon.